Welcome to Horror Exposure.
Hey, Horror Exposure family. How are you all doing tonight? If you're new here, welcome. This channel is about one thing and one thing only: real stories. No scripts pulled from thin air, no dramatized fiction. Just the kind of accounts that make you sit back and wonder whether you truly understand the world around you. So get comfortable, put your headphones in, turn the lights down just a little, because tonight's story is one I haven't been able to stop thinking about. Before we begin, I want you to sit with a question for just a moment. What happens to love when the person feeling it is no longer alive? Most of us don't want to think about that, but after tonight, you might not have a choice. This story was sent in by a listener named Samantha from Tennessee. It happened to her aunt, a woman she calls the most beautiful person she has ever known. When these events took place, Samantha was only 3 years old. Most of what she knows she learned from her mother, but she says certain images have never left her. She wrote to us, "My hands shook writing this, because this isn't a story I read somewhere. This happened in my own family."
Samantha's family has lived in a small Tennessee town for generations. The kind of place where neighbors still sit on porches in the evening, where everybody knows everybody, where the mountains are close, and the old ways haven't entirely disappeared. Samantha's grandmother raised 6 daughters on her own. Her husband passed away when Samantha's mother was in 7th grade, leaving behind a household full of children and very little else. The grandmother worked, she sacrificed, and she held that family together with nothing but determination and love. Her one wish was to see each of her daughters settled, safe, cared for. The 4th daughter was named Emily. Of all 6 sisters, Emily was the one people noticed. She had light brown hair, so long it fell well past her waist, and a quiet kind of beauty that stayed with you long after she'd left the room. There are photographs of her from that time, still kept in the family album. Samantha says, even now, looking at those pictures, she understands why people couldn't look away. Emily was sharp, focused, serious about her future. She had attended boarding school away from home, the only one of the sisters to do so, and was now in her first year of college, determined to finish her degree before anything else. And then, a young man named Daniel Hassan entered the picture. Daniel was in Emily's class, quiet, intense, and completely consumed by his feelings for her. He told his sister once that he came to campus some days for one reason only: to see Emily. On the days she wasn't there, he would turn around and go back home, without attending a single class. He told Emily how he felt. She turned him down, gently but clearly. She wasn't interested in a relationship, not with anyone. Daniel never stopped feeling what he felt, but he kept it to himself, sharing it only with his younger sister. He was afraid of what people might say. A relationship across religious and cultural lines in a small Tennessee town was not something he was ready to defend. So he carried it quietly, alone. Meanwhile, another young man had noticed Emily. His name was Marcus. He was 2 years ahead of Emily in school, shy, steady, and completely unable to work up the courage to say a word to her directly. By the time he graduated and landed a good job, he walked straight to Emily's grandmother's door with his family and asked for Emily's hand in marriage. The grandmother liked him immediately. So did the rest of the family, after asking around. But she had one condition. Emily would finish her degree first. Marcus agreed without hesitation. And so, in November of 2003, the month after Emily's graduation, they were married. A small, warm ceremony. The whole town came. Everyone was happy. Emily and Marcus moved into their own home just a few neighborhoods over. Life was good, quiet, simple. A few months into their marriage, Emily became pregnant. She was 4 months along when everything changed. One evening, Marcus came home from work, and the house was empty. Emily was gone. He wasn't alarmed at first. Maybe she'd stepped next door. Maybe she'd gone for a walk. He changed out of his work clothes, made himself some water, and waited. An hour passed, then another. Emily still wasn't home. Marcus called the family. It was just past 8 o'clock in the evening. Samantha's father and uncle drove over immediately. The whole neighborhood was searched that night. Every street, every familiar face was asked. No one had seen her. By midnight, a police report had been filed. The next afternoon, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. The man on the other end introduced himself as a staff member at a Greyhound bus station 2 towns over. That morning, a woman had been found unconscious just outside the station. She was disoriented, barely able to speak, but in her coat pocket, they found a folded piece of paper with a single phone number on it. Marcus's number. He drove there immediately, with Samantha's father and uncle beside him. They found Emily sitting in a back room, wrapped in a borrowed jacket, staring at the floor. She didn't know how she'd gotten there. She didn't know what day it was. She didn't know anything. They brought her home, but the woman who came back through that front door. From that day forward, Emily's behavior changed completely. She talked to people no one else could see, holding full conversations with empty corners of the room. She laughed at things no one else heard. She whispered words that made no sense to anyone around her. And again, she tried to leave. The family made a decision. Emily could not be left alone. She moved in with Samantha's family, where someone was always home, always nearby, always watching. But she got worse. She stopped eating. She stopped sleeping in any normal pattern. She would sit in a corner of the room for hours, rocking gently, playing with her fingers like a child, talking softly to no one. The family took her to a doctor, then a psychiatrist. Medications were tried. None of them held. The doctors were baffled. Whatever was happening to Emily didn't fit neatly into any clinical category they knew. It was around this time that an older family member mentioned something quietly. There was a woman in the hills, not a doctor, not a counselor, a folk healer, the kind of person whose knowledge had been passed down through generations in the Appalachian tradition. Some people called them granny women, others called them root workers. In the rural parts of Tennessee, people knew who to call when medicine ran out of answers. The family brought her in. The woman moved through the house slowly, observing Emily with careful, unhurried eyes. She prayed quietly in the old way, words passed down through her family, older than the church in town. Then she took a small square of cloth, treated with dried herbs, and stitched through in an old protective pattern. She tied it gently around Emily's wrist.
She called it a protective cloth, a folk talisman, something to stand between Emily and whatever was pulling at her. She said it would keep Emily from harming herself or the child she was carrying. The next morning, Emily was worse than she had ever been. What came next, the family still struggles to describe. Emily's physical strength became something none of them could explain. 3 grown adults could not hold her still. She shoved people out of doorways. She clawed at window frames. She bit Samantha's aunt on the hand so badly it left a scar that's still visible today. The family had no choice but to keep Emily confined to a single room, the door secured from the outside, with 2 people always entering together whenever she needed care. Then one morning, while 2 family members were trying to help Emily to the bathroom, she broke free. She ran through the front door, down the porch steps, out onto the street. Marcus, Samantha's father, and a cousin ran after her. Emily ran straight into traffic. A car was coming. The driver hit the brakes. Emily collapsed to the ground just feet from the front bumper. No one was hurt, but the people who witnessed that moment said they aged 10 years in 10 seconds.
A neighbor named Richard had watched the whole thing from across the street. He pulled Samantha's father aside afterward and said quietly, "I know someone you should talk to." His name was Reverend Thomas. He had served the local church for over 30 years. He was not the kind of man who chased strange stories or claimed easy answers. But Richard said that over the years, there had been moments when Reverend Thomas had sat with families in exactly this kind of darkness, and he had helped them find their way through. The family brought Emily to see him the next morning. Reverend Thomas listened to everything. He did not interrupt. He did not express disbelief. When they finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something none of them expected. "Stop trying to hold her back. Let her go where she needs to go. She'll take you there herself." He opened his Bible. He read quietly passages about the peace that passes understanding, about release, about surrender. He placed his hand gently on Emily's head and prayed in a low, steady voice. Emily's eyes went glassy, distant, like someone looking at something very far away. And then she began to walk. No one spoke. They simply followed. Emily walked for several minutes, through the neighborhood, past the hardware store, past the old mill road, until she pushed open the iron gate of the town's cemetery and stepped inside. She moved between the stones without hesitation, as if she knew exactly where she was going. She stopped at a grave near the back corner, and she sank to her knees and pressed her face against the stone. Reverend Thomas put his hand gently on Samantha's father's shoulder. "This is where it started," he said quietly. "Let's find out who's here." The cemetery records took a few hours to track down, but by that afternoon, they had a name: Daniel Hassan. The date on the stone matched exactly the month Emily had graduated, the month she had married Marcus. From the records, they found a home address. Reverend Thomas, Marcus, Samantha's father, and her uncle drove to the address together. A woman in her 60s answered the door. Behind her, 3 daughters. When Marcus said Emily's name, the youngest daughter went very still. "I've heard that name before," she said. Her mother looked at her. "Where?" The youngest daughter looked down at her hands, and then she began to speak. Her brother's name had been Daniel. They were close in age, close enough to have been each other's confidants through school. When Daniel started college, he came home one afternoon and told her something he said he'd never told another person. There was a girl. Her name was Emily, and he loved her in a way he didn't know how to carry. He told his sister everything. How he had gone to campus some days just to see her. How the days she wasn't there felt hollow and pointless. How she had turned him down, and how that hadn't changed a single thing about how he felt. He couldn't tell their mother. He couldn't tell their father. A relationship like that, across the lines their community quietly held, would have brought judgment he wasn't ready to face. So he held it alone, and he gave it only to his sister. Then, one afternoon, he came home and went straight to his room. His sister followed. She found him face down on his bed, shoulders shaking. She asked him what happened. He said, she got married. It had been graduation day at the college. Emily had gone to pick up her transcripts. Marcus had gone with her. Daniel had seen them together. Emily in her best dress, Marcus's hand at the small of her back, and something inside him had simply broken. That night, Daniel took his own life. The sister's voice was barely above a whisper by the time she finished. I never told anyone why. He never wanted anyone to know. But hearing her name just now, I couldn't stay quiet. The room was completely still.
They returned to the cemetery as the sun was getting low. Emily was still kneeling at the stone, her eyes closed, her breathing slow and even. Reverend Thomas stood at the grave for a long moment in prayer, asking for peace, for release, for mercy on a young man who had loved too deeply and suffered too quietly. When he finished, he turned to the family and spoke gently. He saw her once, he said. From this very spot, or close to it, she and her husband were driving past. Her hair was loose. It was the last time he saw her as she was, before everything changed for him. And I believe that image is what he held on to. He paused. There is an old belief in these mountains, older than most of what we practice in church, that certain things carry a person's energy, their hair above all, and that sometimes releasing that thing is the only way to release the hold. He looked at Marcus. It's not a Christian rite, I want to be clear about that, but it is an old and sincere one, and I think it may be what's needed here. Marcus looked at Emily's long, loose hair, falling past her waist, catching the last of the afternoon light. He nodded. Someone produced a pair of scissors from a coat pocket. Emily's hair was cut there at the graveside, carefully, respectfully, and the cut hair was laid at the base of the stone, returned in the old Appalachian way to the earth. Reverend Thomas said a final prayer over the grave, for Daniel, for Emily, for the love that had refused to let go and was now, at last, being asked to rest. Over the days that followed, Emily came back, slowly, gently, like someone surfacing from very deep water. By the end of the week, she was eating again, sleeping, recognizing faces, speaking in full sentences about ordinary things. When she was fully herself again, she had no memory of the previous 4 months. None. She remembered going to sleep one evening, and she remembered waking up, and everything in between was simply gone. She noticed her hair was short. She asked about it, puzzled. The family told her she was unwell, that she was better now, that everything was going to be fine. They never told her the rest, not then, not in the years since. 2 months later, Emily gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Samantha ended her letter with this. I know how this sounds. I know that. But I grew up in a family where the people who were there, my mother, my father, my aunts and uncles, never once doubted what they saw. And I've never been able to doubt it either. Some things don't have clean explanations. This is one of them. I've been sitting with this story for a while now.
And the thing I keep coming back to isn't the fear of it, it's the sadness. A young man who loved someone completely, who never got to say it properly, who carried it alone until he couldn't carry it anymore, and then couldn't let go even after that. I don't have a tidy conclusion for you tonight, just a question I'll leave you with. How deeply does something have to be felt to survive the person feeling it?
That's our story for tonight. Thank you, genuinely, for spending this time with Horror Exposure. If something like this has happened to you or to someone close to you, we want to hear it. Every episode, we select one listener account to feature. If your story is chosen, it will be told in a future episode with your permission and exactly as you experienced it. Send your story to horrorexposure@gmail.com. And if tonight's episode stayed with you, leave a like, share it with someone who appreciates a real story, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Until then, take care of yourselves out there. This has been Horror Exposure. Good night.